Welcome everyone back to the Sports Page channel. Today I've got a fellow, or rather a very close friend of mine, Sarthak, coming back to the show. As you can see, a very loyal Manchester United fan. Tough times for your club, Sarthak.
Very tough, very tough. It's been a good break for us, especially after the torrid period. So hopefully we come back stronger.
A good break. I mean, a lot of you were expecting Ole to be relieved of his duties during the break. That didn't happen. He's back in training, so not necessarily a good week.
Yeah, on that end, definitely not a good break. But I mean, if sources are to be believed, it will only be a matter of time. So, I mean, until then, all we can do is hope and just support. So, what for next?
Yeah, Watford next. Watford can be a very tricky opponent to face against. I mean, they've just been promoted again, and they also have a very good manager. They did get thrashed by Liverpool 5-0, if I'm not wrong, but even United got thrashed by Liverpool. On that note,
Just about to
so
mention that.
it'll be right to say that it's going to be a match which is going to be very close in terms of just playing style, even though you guys are better on paper.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, on paper, our team beats anyone in Europe for a fact, on paper. But it's been close games. The opponent doesn't matter this season. All of the games have been close games. So I'm expecting a close game from Watford, and especially after them being promoted just now. Obviously, they have all to play for. So do we.
I mean, Watford might be, their manager, their players might be sitting in the dressing room and they might be thinking, this is our time to make a statement. United is hurt by the kind of performances they've had. There's so much going on in the media regarding the manager, regarding players not being happy with the club, so many players being rumored to leave. So they would probably feel that this is a pack of wolves which has, just fallen apart, and this is our time to have a pick and, just hunt them down.
They're very vulnerable. United is a very vulnerable team right now, especially the factors that you mentioned, the mental factors. They're going to be very strong, especially given that we're also missing a few key players. So, I mean, they have all the reasons to believe in their chances. So, I'm expecting a very tough and close game from them.
But there was news from not from the most reliable sources, according to United and Tier One sources, but other sources that there has been an emergency meeting today involving the staff, the players, the French players as well, the likes of Donny van de Beek, Jesse Lingard, uh, the board of directors. Some of the people from the board were Richard Arnold and Ed Woodward, and then there was Ole and his staff over there, and they wanted to have a talk to clear the air. We don't know what really has happened behind the scenes, whether there is a replacement being lined up for Ole for the time being, and whether he's just there to fill in as an interim, but not being told out to the media that way, or whether it was to go out and support Ole and be and maybe plead the players to fight for him on the pitch. But there has been some kind of talks, according to certain sources. How much of a difference do you think this is going to make? Even if the board asks the players personally to go out and support Ole and play for him, do you think the players, after whatever they've been through, they would actually give a shit about playing for Ole rather than playing bad and getting him sacked?
See, the consistency has always been lacking. So the same things happened when the last time we talked. So we talked about the players giving it all, backing him, even not thinking about whether the manager that leading them out on the pitches would be here next week or not. But it's about giving all on the pitch, and they did give all on the pitch versus Tottenham. But the next weeks it was back to the same thing again. We lost to City 2-0, absolutely dross performances. So I mean, with all these lack of consistency and not having a proper playing style, not having proper instruction as it's very visible on the pitch. Especially, I think we believe that there's no proper tactical play at helm or in how we play, how the players play, how they express themselves on the pitch. I don't see any reason for them to make a change or make a step forward and play for the badge or whatever. Of course, you're going to play for the badge. The fans are back. There's a 13th player for us, especially at the Old Trafford, but that doesn't seem to work as well. We lose a lot of matches at home. So what else? What motivation do they have left? They're like not even close to top six, given they're playing how they're playing. They're out of one competition already. FA Cup, I don't see us winning or progressing. And the Champions League, take Ronaldo out of this team, and we don't even qualify from the group stage. So it's pretty draws. I don't see them playing for the manager anymore. Some of the players.
Yeah, I mean, there was this scene during the Manchester City game when Donny van de Beek was being told to come on, and the whole crowd was cheering him. They were behind him. It was also seen as partial booing towards Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because he has been very adamant when it comes to sticking with McFred and not playing Donny van der Beek over the past year. But just watching him come on, they just felt that this is the right moment to revolt against the manager, and they supported the player, and they wanted the player to come out, and they wanted the player to play. They want to see him play. So these kind of things, do you think that even the match going fans, because see, there is certainly a divide at United between the match going fans, the fans who watch it at home, the fans who don't live in the UK. Do you think even the match going fans are going to start turning on Ole, or they probably have turned on Ole?
See, even the match going fans, if I'm not wrong, there are sections between them as well. These are the top red armies. Like, they're the ones that you see staying back and singing Ole's game after the game is over and stuff. And they are the sections that Ole praises the most. But they are the most of the other sections. You see them, if the fans are supporting the players, which is very obviously, like, it's obviously a player versus coach thing when it comes to Donny versus Ole, and you're singing Donny van de Beek's name and asking him to be brought on. So it's very obvious. You're very correct when you say that fans are showing their dissent in their own ways. But it's very ironic. But Manchester United fan base is probably the most divided in the whole of Europe or whole of world of football. So even in the match going fans, I still see the divide. But as long as the top red army is there, Ole's name is going to be sung, and is correctly so. The player Ole definitely deserves his name to be sung around Old Trafford for all the time being. But the manager Ole, I think it's time for them to even show that it's all right for you to be a great player for us, but we live in the present now, and we have to strive for the best for Manchester United Football Club in 2021 and not in 1999. So it should be a norm for them to ask the best for the club and not support the draws performances that we're putting out. I mean, just look at Real Madrid. I know people love to make jokes about how they boo their players, but there's a reason they are the 13-time European champions. There's even they are European royalty, one of the best players, one of the best clubs in history. Why is that so? Even the players and the fans have standards. They boo Cristiano Ronaldo, they booed Gareth Bale, they booed anyone because they want the best for the club. And I just hope that United fans realize this. It's high time that we become united.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm not wrong, in his press conference after the game, after the City game, Ole came out and said that we need to come back as a hurt animal and play attacking football. But it just seems like he has used up all his cards, whatever he had in his armory or inventory. He's used the 4-2-3-1. He's used the 4-2-4. He's used the 3-5-2. And after a point of time, that the next game, if he wants to go and attack, then he's going to play a 4-2-4. Simple. So, like, okay, that's what he's saying. He's saying that he's going to play a 4-2-4 against Watford. And if he goes and says that we need to work like a team, then he's going to play a 3-5-2 because he wants more compactness at the back. So it's just that it's certainly time for a change, because you don't see Ole evolving as a coach, or getting new tactics in, especially with this coaching team.
So the thing you're pointing at is people learning at the job. It's been happening for 3 years now. When he was the interim manager, all these things were acceptable. Trying different things, trying new formations, trying to set up the team because it's very pragmatic. But you're the permanent manager now. We need a proper style of play. We need to know how we're going to set up and how we're going to play. No one knows how United is going to play in the next match. It's just based on how the opponent would shape up. And even if that's the case, we still end up playing the same draws football regardless of the formation. And when you talk about him not evolving as a manager and him having used up all of his cards, it's very evident when his own press conferences have become so repetitive in the manner that he comes out after defeats. Even the players come out of these to post the same things. Time to look back at ourselves, time to reflect on these performances and come back. We'll try to come
We're,
back.
we're the bounce back club.
Yeah, we'll bounce back club. It's not a bouncing castle. Manchester United, for God's sake, you don't have to bounce back after every week. So that's
Yeah, I mean,
pointless.
you shouldn't have to bounce back after every week.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just the standard. But
Yeah.
I think even Kevin De Bruyne pointed that Pep Guardiola usually has a very detailed training session before each and every game. But before the United game, we only train for 10 minutes because we don't know how they're going to play, how they're going to set up. We don't know whether it's going to be a good setup or a bad setup. So might as well just go and play the way we want to play. And that's exactly what they did. They came out and they treated the game as a training session. It's more like they completed their rest of the training at Old Trafford by just playing the way they wanted to play because United didn't do anything anyways.
And that says a lot about how our team is performing and how the team is set up and how the other coaches look at ourselves, look at our team. Pep Guardiola, one of the best coaches in history, one of the best coaches in the world right now, has no clue how you're going to play. I mean, Ole, being Ole, I would expect him to say, "Oh, see, we've done such a good job. Pep Guardiola has no clue how he's going to play," you know. But that's not how it works. You see, Kevin talking about them having trained for 10 minutes, and you look at the passing map. It's so proper, it's so direct, so detailed. The players know what they have to do. When you look at United, they've probably been training for like a month for this match only, and they look as clueless as ever. So that
I
tells a
mean,
lot about coaching.
I saw the passing maps and it was literally men versus boys. It was like you played a
Yeah,
professional team against a bunch of under 23-year-olds because every time United got on the ball, they felt such excitement because they were actually getting nowhere close to the ball. They just thought as soon as we get the ball, hoof it upfield, this is our time to attack. Let's not build anything. Let's just go and try and score a goal. But whereas City got on the ball, they were calm. They were like, okay, we have the ball, but we need to work it around. We just can't hook one pass up and expect KDB or Bernardo to finish it in because we don't have a striker. And with United, it's just like, oh, we got the ball, just hoof it up to Ronaldo, just hoof it up to Rashford, make him run in behind. That's the only two or three things we know how to do.
that's partly got to do with Old Trafford crowd as well. I mean, Old Trafford can be very loud, can be very intimidating for the players, and I thought it was part of the reason how the United players get so overexcited when they get on the ball because of course when you don't get the ball for like the past 20 minutes, you're chasing the opponent team down. You finally get the ball, everyone is excited. Oh, finally United have the ball, and you make two draws passes and then lose possession. So that is the pattern that we've seen this season so far, and I think the main reason that it's so weird how we think that Ole has actually gone down from last season to this season. I think it has got something to do with the COVID-19 measures and the stadiums being empty. You saw United's unbeaten run, best run in best away run in English football history, but of course nothing came out of it. But it has got to do with the stadiums being empty. Definitely has to do. This team doesn't have character, according to me. They don't have the character as a team. They have individuals, they have great individuals, but they don't have a character as a team.
I mean, that's where getting a new coach becomes even more important. We've talked about Zidane, we've talked about Rogers. Both of them, they're really good at developing individuals. You saw the way Rogers was able to develop Raheem Sterling at Liverpool. He also gave a breakthrough season to Daniel Sturridge, even though it didn't work out in the later years. But that 13-14 season was such a good season for so many people. Luis Suarez, yes, he was consistent, but Brendan Rodgers and Steven Gerrard really made sure that he performed at his full peak, at his best productivity rate, and they reaped the results. They almost won the league. And then Zinedine Zidane, there is no doubt how good a man he is when it comes to managing the big names. When Ronaldo speaks for you, when Ramos speaks for you, the whole world listens because they are two of the most iconic players, the two of the greatest players to have stepped foot on the football pitch, and they just feel like Zinedine Zidane gave them that extra motivation. So you just know how good he is. Do you think that is something that United really need right now? Because Ole might have done his job, trying to make the players feel good about themselves, trying to have that confidence, but he's not been really able to develop them as professionals, as players, as people who need to be more responsible on the pitch.
See, players developing thanks to the coach only boils down to two main things. First, the coach being very experienced and passing on that experience to players, or the second one is the coach being very, very, very tactically sound and ambitious and pragmatic about his plans. Two things that are very visible in Julian Nagelsmann and Eric Ten Hag. And the first part, which I talked about experience, it's all down to on Zidane. which I and none of these two things are currently visible in Ole. He certainly doesn't have the experience, and I don't see him having the tactical soundedness or even the proper ambition of developing the players. And these are not normal players we're talking about. We're talking about a proper world class squad of individuals. We've got Bruno Fernandes, we've got Cristiano Ronaldo, we've got a bunch of other players. We've got Jadon Sancho's not playing, we've got Donny van de Beek, who made the Ballon d'Or shortlist at age 23, is not playing. So we have a great team, and we definitely need a new coach, a new proper character. United are known for making bad decisions, but this next coaching appointment that they make is going to define our decade. So it better be a good decision. So we definitely need a
Yeah, I
character.
mean, see, there has been a lot of resentment from the United fans regarding the Glazers, regarding the board. But I think even the board realizes that if you don't pick the right coach now, then the fans are gonna eat you alive. Because if you stick with Oli, or if you get a coach who doesn't get on with the players, then it'll basically be like you built us a super team, but then you didn't do what was necessary. So we practically won nothing with this team, and everyone just left us. And now we are back to base one. Now we are in a worse position than what Mourinho left us in, because now we don't even have the players. So I think the board knows this. If I'm not wrong, I think they're dumb, but they're not dumb enough to hang themselves in front of the whole crowd, in front of the whole fan base. So maybe they're working on it. Hopefully they're working on it. But I don't see any other option than them working on a succession plan for Ole. I mean, we've seen from recent reports that now they do have a succession plan. Now they do have a vision about whom they want to appoint. So it's all just a matter of when Ole loses the next match, because the fans no longer care whether you lose to Watford, or whether you lose to City, or whether you lose to Arsenal. They want him out so bad. As soon as Ole loses a game, even if it's in the 90th minute, they'll be like, get this man out of the club.
See, the Glazers being dumb is true, but when it comes to commercial or financial aspects of the game, they're one of the best in the business. So, as I said in the last podcast, Ronaldo staying, us competing for trophies realistically, and better players coming in makes them more money than waiting for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and his coaching staff to learn on the job. See, sacking Ole is problematic for them, I think, for two reasons. Firstly, because obviously he has a connection with the fans and the players very visibly, because he's a good man. I mean, we all know he's a good person. Secondly, he has a great relationship with the Glazers themselves, something which is very problematic to me, at least, or a fan like me who hates the Glazers to their core. Because even when the fans were protesting against the Glazers, that man Solskjaer came out and said that the fans who are the most loud are not the most correct ones, or something along these lines. So you can't just be a puppet of the people destroying the club that you claim to love. That's one thing I loved about Mourinho. He publicly called them out for not signing the players he wanted. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer comes out and says that the investment is perfect, which is statistically not correct. Stuff like that, backing them publicly and stuff. So he's a good pawn for the Glazers and for the players. But definitely he's not leading the team forward. He's brought us here. We are at a great position, but I think it's time for him to pass up the baton for something or someone to take us to the next pedestal, which is realistically not just competing but winning the proper big major trophies. So I think it's about time now. The Glazers are costing themselves if they make however they delay the decision, they're costing themselves. I think they're going to act.
Yeah, I mean, let me give you a hypothetical situation. Had you guys not signed Ronaldo and Varane this summer, realistically, two of the most, the most decorated players at the club right now, who have won so many things with Real Madrid and even Manchester United, for the case of Cristiano Ronaldo, and Juventus, and two players who know how proper clubs work, how clubs should work, and what should be the vision of the club. The Glazers might not have even. I mean, even the media might not have even wanted Ole to be sacked, or maybe even the fans would have been like, "Oh, fuck it, we've got Sancho, and let's just say you guys bought Trippier. These guys are not winners anyway. These guys have to develop anyway, so it's fine. Even if we're sitting sixth, it's fine. We'll win. We'll scrap out wins, and then we'll get to the top four mark, and we'll be fine, and we'll back Ole for next season. But now that Ronaldo's here, now that Varane is here, you know that you cannot play in the Europa League with the both of them. That would cause a lot of harm to the stock prices, to United, to the image. to the players themselves. They might not even want to stay. They might refuse from playing. That isn't an option anymore. So like that takes one of the options out of mediocrity. The second one being the board cannot be incompetent like they were before, because players like Ronaldo, players like Varane, they have contacts. They're gonna make sure that the board acts. They have everything they need to put pressure on the board. So I think these are two of the major factors why the board are actually wondering, they're finally, getting up and making a succession plan, because Ole doesn't seem to be getting the knack of things.
See, when you talk about Ronaldo, this is one of the best things I have. I think personally for him being at the club is that people talk about him being the problem on baseless evidences and stuff like that, but the impact that man has off the pitch is unparalleled, especially for the benefit of our own club. That man himself, that man's image is bigger than the owner's image, the owner's stock market prices, or whatever value they have in the market, and their stature. That man represents so much more than what the Glazers can even, plan of having to scale. Cristiano Ronaldo doesn't regard Manchester United as just another club. Probably, which was the case with Juventus, he wanted out, he left out. It's not the same with United. He feels the connect. He knows what United are. He knows what United should stand for and do stand for and where they should be. And he's not going to just bucker off and just leave, chuckle out, as people make out that he might. He's going to force a decision at least for at least 1 year. The next year, if he stays, if he wants to stay, I know he will force the club, and I know he will persuade the club to make a decision, because that man cares for the club, and that speaks a lot. And the fans, I think, are obviously going to back Cristiano Ronaldo over Ole Gunnar Solskjaer if, God forbid, such a conflict ever happens between them. So that's a big factor in the club acting, and him recommending Zidane is just a cherry on top for the role of manager candidacy that we've been looking for. So that's a big stamp. Cristiano Ronaldo being at the club, big factor.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of positives of having Ronaldo at your club. Hopefully, there's going to be a change in the near future. Moving on from Watford, before we end the video, you've got Chelsea, Arsenal, and Villarreal. All right, the next four games, and then there's an easier set of fixtures as you get into mid-December and into the new year. Do you see Ole surviving these four games, or I mean, even if he does survive these four games, do you think he's still gonna leave?
Physically on paper, he does survive this run. I see him surviving this run, but behind the scenes, even I agree with you that the clockwork is in place. I think he's gone already, but I think he survived this because Ed Woodward also is going to leave. I don't think he wants his last step as the chairman of United to be sacking Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So I see him surviving this run regardless of the results, because I don't think any United fan cares anymore about the results. But he will definitely survive this. But come Christmas, I think there's some volatility around that part. So I think it would be contingent on two factors. If Ed Woodward was to leave before Christmas, the new guy probably would like to make a good start of the decision. Would be winning over the fans with a proper, not just stacking but a better appointment. The second factor being this season. I think if we survive this run, it's going to be season-defining run for us, especially Villarreal, in terms of us playing the playoffs and not going to the Europa League with Cristiano Ronaldo on your team. So yeah, it's very crucial period for us this November.
Yeah, I mean, November certainly wasn't good. By the way of looks, I think like the ending of October and the starting of November, not very good for you as a club, and even for some of the players. Ronaldo also struggling with Portugal. He's been having a tough time as well. But before we conclude this video, I mean, I just feel that I just have this feeling that Ole is a dead man walking. He's a dead man walking because the board was sleeping for the past 2 months and they didn't have a replacement. That's what I think it is. Now they've woken up and now they know he is not going to last this season, because there is no way that he takes you on an unbeaten run till the 38th match day and wins you the league title. There is obviously going to be blunders because he's someone who's learning on the job, and They're just ready to pull the plug. They're just like, okay, we have a succession plan. You drop a point to Watford, you lose to Watford, you're gone. You lose to Chelsea, bye bye. You draw with Chelsea, goodbye. So it's just more like you drop any more points and you're gone. So hopefully that's true, but that's just a personal feeling which I've been saying to a lot of United fans over the
I mean, I
past two to
agree.
3 weeks,
He's
and
been he's being slaughtered. He's being slaughtered
yeah,
for
he
saving
is.
face.
I mean, but what they did this week was absolutely ridiculous by sending him away to Norway, then calling him back just to make sure that he doesn't have to face all of these comments. And what was even more pathetic was some United fans coming out and saying, "Oh, he's a good guy, so you shouldn't be slaughtering him." Well, he is being slaughtered for the things which he's doing, and he's practically running the club into the ground. He's practically doing undoing all of the work which he has done. He built this team from scratch. He made these boys men. He made these boys behave like professionals, and now they need to take the next step, and now he's just ruining everything with the way he works, with the way he's so adamant about certain players. And I really believe, even if Ole was a legend, he deserves all the stick he's getting right now. And I mean, till an extent, it's not his fault because he can't sack himself, but he does deserve all the stick he's getting.
I I would love him to do a Pola Gattuso and step down on his own. That would be lovely, but I think he's too good of a man to do that. I think he's putting his current relationships loyalties over club loyalties. He's way too loyal to the Glazers and to probably his fans than more to he's to the club or the fans. I meant to say he's more loyal to the Glazers and his players than he is to his fans if he's not sacking himself or stepping down from his job. Just my opinion.
I don't even think he's loyal to his own players anymore because he tells them that you're gonna get playing time and then he doesn't give them playing time. So
That's true.
he's loyal to those selective 3 or 4 players who wouldn't make it to Manchester United if it wasn't for him.
That sums it up pretty well.
So I guess that's that for this video. Thank you for joining us, Sarthak. Always a lovely time having you here. And for everyone who did watch this video, please make sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video. And we'll see you soon. And we'll probably have Sarthak again back here. Till then, see you.